standard tuning here, E, A, D, G, B, E. And we'll start with this main progression, good for pretty much the whole song here. And it's more or less 3 chords, and then one of them kind of switches a little bit. So there's just one chord that kind of switches up. But we start here, and we want this kind of higher voiced F sharp power chord. And I like to throw a little extra bass note on top of it, still build it out a little bigger. So we'll just do the 9 on the A, 11 on the D and G, and then throw that extra 9 on the low E with it. So we'll get like a C sharp or D flat over the top. And we just give it a hit. Alright, and then we move it down to E power chord. So I just do the 7, A, 9 on the D and G, and then I like to throw the open E on top of it. And then we end up finally at the D flat or C sharp, and I like to compound this as well with the extra bass note by doing the, we'll have the 4A, 6 on the D and G, and then I do the 4E with it, so you get A flat on top of your D flat power chord. This kind of makes it sound a little bigger than, a little more oomph to it there. So that's kind of the first part through, all right, and the second run through, start the same at the 9s with the 11s, all right, the F sharp with the C sharp on top. All right, and then the second chord here, this is where the switch happens, where it's kind of interesting because like the bass and I guess you would say like the guitar kind of like do a little separation here, where the bass will continue going to the E that we usually did, all right, but there's something else that goes up to an A flat. All right, so basically we'll keep our same open E for that second chord, but we want this higher now, 11 on the A with the 13 on the D and G. Okay, so it's like an A flat power chord with the E bass note. Okay, it probably even could be called some type of like E sus chord or something, but I just like to think of it as the A flat power chord with the E on top, just because it helps you remember. And then the same third chord, we just end up back at our D flat with the A flat on top, the 4s with the 6s. Okay, so it's just that second chord switch that happens every other time. Other than that, then we start to get the lead sections over the top. And the first one is kind of in this higher spot here, where we'll be on the G and B string mostly, just hanging out. Go 6G, kind of hold that just a moment, go 5B back to 6G, and then we do 5-7B. Alright, we just kind of hold that 7 for a bit, and then every other time we do that 6G, but we hold it just a little bit longer than we did before. Alright, and then we just finish it the same way, the 5B, 6G, 5-7B. Okay, so there's just kind of like some subtle little timing differences here and there, but it's pretty much the same little pattern. Okay, so that just will repeat for a handful of times, and the verse gets going. We do the progression again, and then eventually we get this kind of lower version of that lead section with just a subtle little difference at the end. So we'll be more like in this spot here, where A string, do like the 4 on the A, and it's that same kind of feel and pattern. So we do like the 4A down to 2D, back to the 4A to 4D. So okay, it's just kind of offset a little because it's not on the G and B there, but the timing's kind of the same deal. The second time through we hold the 4 a little longer, then do our little 2-4, 2-4. Alright, and the thing with this one is, we'll do just like we do, we're a little tighter the first time, a little hold the second time, a little tighter the third time, which is kind of the same as the first. But then the final time, we do this little bit where we just do the 4A, hold it a little bit longer, and then we just do a back and forth between the 2D, 4A, 2D. All right, we don't do the 2-4, so it's just kind of a little subtle difference at the very end of this lower register version. All right, and other than that, once we get towards the outro, we get a couple little extra things. A new little riff on top of everything, where I like to do kind of like an octave shape here with the A and G string. So start here with the 6A, 8 G. Alright, we're just going to hit it down to 4 and 6, back to the 6 and 8. Alright, we go through that a few times. And then the final time through, we bump up to 7 and 9 for a hit. Then we do the 6, 4, 6. Alright, and that whole thing will just kind of cycle. And other than that, the last thing, there's just a real kind of subtle, high note that just carries over the top of everything. And I'll do an octave with that too. It's just kind of part of the previous thing we did where we just had this 8 on the G, and then we want that higher octave, so we do the 11 on the E. And this is just hitting right on beat, like eighth note style. It's just to add a little layer there too if you want to throw that in. Other than that, should be all good, ready to rock.